Hi, I'm Liz Jones from Liz Jones Wellness. My website is www.lizjones.co, and I invite you to join me there and sign up for my newsletter. I am available for corporate wellness programming as well as for individual wellness programming, for one-on-one coaching, yoga instruction, and personal training. Today I'll be talking about depression and anxiety, which is something that a lot of people are afraid to talk about publicly. And I wanted to talk about this because it is something that really is becoming an epidemic in our nation and in our world. And it's something that we really need to discuss, whether we're talking about individual wellness and well-being, or if we're talking about workplace wellness, something that employers are dealing with, having employees that are facing a lot of anxiety and depression, and it's affecting the workplace wellness and also healthcare costs because of all the things that are associated with anxiety and depression and the other symptoms and things that that can bring about with it. And because of the society we live in today, not only because of all the technology, we're all attached to our phones 24 hours a day mostly. We have the uh, modems in our houses that are sending signals to our bodies at all times. We have TVs on, video games on, not taking time out in nature as people used to. And we're always plugged into something and always have stimulation from so many different avenues. But there's also things going on in our world like that it's now a normal thing for there to be school shootings and terrorist attacks, or even watching the news where the daily murders that are happening and violence in our society is a daily news event. And so it's no wonder that so many people are dealing with anxiety and depression. It's also something that is biological and it runs in a lot of families, and is related to all the chemicals in the brain. So it also has a lot to do with both nature and nurture. So not only can it be something that somebody is predisposed to, as well as what we're exposed to in society. So some people might be more prone to anxiety and depression because of their chemical makeup and then the environment that we're in. And it just becomes something that more and more we're exposed to on a constant and chronic basis. And for some reason, it's always been looked at more as something that people are ashamed to talk about. But it really is no different than if somebody was diagnosed with cancer, which is also a disease that is disabling. Somebody that's diagnosed with anxiety and depression should be dealt with as such. And granted, there are different levels of depression and anxiety, and we can choose what our attitude in life is. We cannot choose what we are dealing with, like I said, depression. You can't choose how much serotonin your brain is making. What we can do is um, choose how we seek out treatment for that, whether or not we get help, whether or not we choose to seek professional counseling or medication or supplements, choosing yoga and other avenues to help manage that, and also finding ways to do that. If you know that depression and anxiety is something that runs in your family, finding ways that you can um, work through that with help from your well-being providers, whoever that may be, your medical doctor, your yoga instructor. Of course, yoga is not taking place of medical help or psychological help, but it is also something that can help somebody who has anxiety and depression manage that. Um, but again, just really wanting to focus on talking about that a little bit and let people know that they are not alone. It really is very, very common now, more so than ever, that somebody sitting next to you is dealing with anxiety and depression, or one or the other. A lot of times they go hand in hand. I know for me personally, it's something that runs in my family and has been on both sides of my family. Even when I was younger, when I was a kid, I remember struggling with anxiety in certain situations, being afraid, when I got stuck on a high board one time to go diving where I got up on the high dive and I couldn't come back down, I couldn't dive, and I was just frozen there. And the same thing happened on a fire escape once where we had to go out on a fire escape and I couldn't go up, I couldn't go down, and I got frozen. And just remembering certain moments like that in my childhood and understanding really what that was like. And then when I got older, again, having just moments of that, those panicky moments. For me, anybody that knows me knows I have a little bit of a fear of storms. And then I moved to Texas, and now I get to uh, have a daily dealing with storms sometimes around here. As you know, we've had a lot of hailstorms and tornado problems in the very recent past. And so I've had to find ways to help myself calm down and work through the anxiety that comes with that. And that doesn't mean that by finding those ways that anxiety just goes away. It just is finding ways that helps me kind of manage those moments when I'm feeling stressed out about that. And that's one of the reasons I did start practicing yoga, is to deal with those feelings of anxiety. And I've always said, I think a lot of people that come to yoga and teach yoga have come to it because they really needed it. That we are able to teach others because of our own experiences and how yoga has really helped us in our lives to be able to manage those feelings. And it's waxed and waned for me as well, where when I first started doing yoga, it really made a big difference for me and really did change my life and help me with that thought process and learning how to focus on your breath. And not only does it help with me, um, my physical well-being, it really helps with that being able to focus and relax in some situations. But even having known that, there's times in my life where it kind of circles back, and again having to kind of reset and go back to what we learn and learn new things with yoga, being able to refocus your mind and go back and again learn how to get your mind to be able to focus on things other than what it is you're feeling anxious about. One example was, when my son was 14 and was in an accident that put him in a coma. We used a lot of guided imagery for healing. And for me, that really helped with his healing process, but it also helped me to find something to give my mind something to concentrate on other than the situation that was at hand when he was in the hospital. And, again, for me, that was a very huge moment of anxiety in my life, while he was in the hospital, very much so, and throughout his recovery. And then even for years after, moments would come up that would cause me great anxiety. If he wouldn't answer his phone. So, Jordan, answer your phone when your mother texts you or calls you. But even things like, hearing a helicopter flying over would kind of remind me of that moment of when he had his accident and was flown to the hospital. And so, over years, just finding ways that help me manage that anxiety where, now I can hear a helicopter and not instantly start having that feeling of anxiety. It doesn't mean it doesn't remind me of that moment, but I no longer have that anxious feeling that's attached to it. So my point being today, again, if you're somebody who is dealing with anxiety or depression, whether it is situational or chronic, I really encourage you to talk to somebody about it, and just really encourage you to not feel alone, and get some help, whether it's through your work's employee assistance program, talking to a counselor locally, There are a lot of coaches out there that can refer you to a professional if that's something you need professional help with, or maybe a women's group to talk to other people about how you're feeling if it's not something to the point of crisis that you're at and you just need some coaching and some coping tools with that. So anyway, just I wanted to say again to you that I hope if you are dealing with any anxiety or depression that you are not feeling alone. If you need any referral resources, please contact me. My email is liz@lizjones.co. And again, my website is www.lizjones.co. And you can also join me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And I hope you have a great day, and please take care.